Hey guys, hope you're having a great day. Tim Knox back. Got a special presentation for you today. We are going to do a quick look at a new publication that was just released by the National Association of Realtors. It is the 2022 Profile of Home Buyers and Sellers, again, published by the National Association of Realtors. Copyright to those good folks. What this is, once a year, and I think they've done this for like the last 40 years, the National Association will do a survey and create really a profile of buyers, sellers, the home market snapshot, the financing side of things, just everything that is involved in our business. And it is really great information for you to have as an agent. Now, here's why. The more you know about your client, your buyers, your sellers, the more you know about the environment that we are in, the market that we are in, the more you know, the better job you can do for your client, and the better you will be at building a great business. Okay, so that's one of the things about real estate. It really is a business full of statistical data that you can actually take a look at and look at the buying habits of the consumer, the way the consumer thinks, what motivates them, what drives them, and then you can take all of that information and put it right up here, and it will help you not only get clients, but get more clients and serve them better. So I'm going to bring up my computer here. And again, this information is from NAR, National Association of Realtors. This is the Profile of Home Buyers and Sellers for 2022. Now, there is a more in-depth document. It is I believe it's called Consumer Trends, Generational Trends. We're going to do a video on that as well, but that's about a 146-page document. And so we're not going to do a video on 146 pages. We're just going to pull out the part that pertains to you as an agent. But this is a great overview pulled from that data. So let's just go ahead and get started. The National Association of Realtors Profile of Home Buyers and Sellers is an annual survey of recent home buyers and sellers who recently completed a transaction. The flagship report was published in 1981 and has been published ever since. The annual report allows industry professionals, that's us, to gain insight into detailed buying and selling behavior. Each iteration of the report is as unique as the economic, social, and demographic environment in which it was published. What this means, guys, is every year is different. Now, you got to remember, 2022, we were just coming out of COVID, and we were coming out of COVID and going into a crazy market, particularly here in North Alabama. Low inventory, high demand, high prices. So every year they do this survey or this profile, it really is a reflection of the times. And I'm a firm believer that you can take what's happened in recent history, take those trends, those habits, those behaviors, and translate those into future results for your business. Let's see here. The Profile of Home Buyers and Sellers report has been the leading industry source of trusted insight into consumer behavior for over 4 decades. It has grown and evolved to keep up with changing home buying trends and the need for more information. So some of the things included in the report, pretty fascinating stuff. 97% of first-time home buyers financed their home purchase in 2022 with a typical down payment of 6%, while at the same time, the share of repeat buyers who financed their purchase dropped to 73% from 83% in 2021. Now, the one thing I find interesting there is if a buyer is only putting down 6%, they're going to have PMI, private mortgage insurance. You have to put down a minimum of 20% to avoid PMI. And so last year, the typical down payment was 6%, meaning that those buyers had the PMI added to their monthly statements. And that can add anywhere from, $100, $150 a month, depending on the size of the loan, to your monthly payment. The best strategy there, if you do have the money, of course, is to put down 20%. You can also go back to your lender. Let's say once you have your mortgage paid down by 20%, you can go back and request that they remove PMI. The number of weeks a buyer searched for a home grew to 10 weeks from 8 weeks. Many buyers took advantage of new virtual tours and virtual listings and used those in their search process. Buyers continue to report the most difficult task for them was finding the right home to purchase. So let's unpack that a little bit. Buyers took advantage of virtual tours and virtual listings. Now, the one thing we're going to discover, and it shouldn't be any great secret to you, is that the majority of buyers start their home search online. They will go on, they'll do Zillow, Trulia, all of those guys. They'll also go to Google, but they'll also go to YouTube and search. We have a really popular YouTube channel on relocating to Huntsville, and we get a lot of leads coming through that. So it's really no surprise that they started off with the virtual tours. It's also no surprise that the most difficult task for them in the home buying process was finding the right home or even finding a home. That was the thing in our market last year. We were at a 20-year low in inventory, highly competitive market. So we had folks could not find a home to buy, not even a home that they liked a little bit. So it was a very tight market. The top reason to sell in 2022 were the desire to be close to friends and family and because their home was small. Tenure in the home, meaning the amount of time they average lived there, rebounded to 10 years from last year's drop of 8 years. Historically, tenure in the home has been 6 or 7 years, but had increased after the Great Recession of 2008 to 9 or 10 years. So let's unpack that a little bit. You got to remember that 2022 was still very much a year that felt the effects of COVID. We saw people actually coming back together with family. We saw clients moving closer to be with the kids, the grandkids, that sort of thing. And I think in a period of, a period like the COVID era, you're going to see families moving back in, getting closer together. And I think that was a very big reason that you saw this. Their desire was to be close to family and friends. Furthermore, in the overview, buyers were driven into the market in 2022 with a desire to be near friends and family and the need for a larger home. We are seeing families all move in together. Distance moved from the last home increased from 15 to 50 miles as buyers look to small towns and rural areas. We were seeing a big influx of buyers leaving the cities, leaving the big cities and towns, and moving to the smaller towns and moving into the rural areas. However, inventory continued to sink, and by January of 22, reached the lowest level recorded by NAR since 1999. And again, in our market here locally, 20-year low of inventory. So it fits right in there. It's kind of a perfect storm. You had COVID hit, you had the inventory dry up, you had a lot of people relocating, and now on the inverse, you've got interest rates going up, slowing that market down. Housing affordability was a continual theme throughout the year, first with the rise of home prices and now the recent rise in mortgage rates, which is a result of inflationary pressure. The share of first-time home buyers shrunk to the smallest share since data collection started in, 40 years ago? First-time home buyers, the smallest share was 26% of buyers for first-time home buyers. Additionally, while white, Caucasian, and Hispanic Latino buyers grew in 2022, the share of Black, African American, and Asian Pacific Islander buyers declined. The age of both first-time and repeat buyers had climbed to the highest levels reported. This is all such good information, guys, because it really helps you get an idea of who your buyers and sellers are and who they are going to be. Among sellers, 41% purchased a larger home, 32% purchased the same size home. So that's what, 73% either stayed the same size or upsized. You can assume that means the other side of that, which is what, 27%, was probably a downsizer. 86% of buyers used an agent to help them purchase a home. Sellers as well turned to professionals to price their home competitively, help market the home to potential buyers, sell within a specific time frame, and fix up the home for sale. This goes directly to the heart of why I'm doing this video. This gives you a very clear picture of why sellers in particular need real estate professionals. Well, they need help pricing the home accordingly in the market, getting the home in the MLS, helping fix up the home. They really rely on your advice, guys, your expertise to get the job done. 86% of sellers used an agent to sell their home. Only 1% of sellers used iBuyers to sell their homes in 2022. I wish I knew what 2021 was. I'm not surprised at that statistic because really, iBuyers have gone the way of the dinosaur. iBuyers were those internet buyers, we'll buy your home. Was it Red Door, Open Door, whatever? There was a Zillow did it for a while. All of those have shut down and gone away because they could not make the business model work. They paid too much for the homes, and the market just did not like it when they brought those homes back on. So it's really no surprise that only 1% sold to iBuyers. 10% of sellers sold via for sale by owner, an increase from last year. However, half of FSBO sellers knew the buyer of their home. We're going to look at statistics for sale by owners in particular toward the end of this presentation, and I'm going to give you killer ammo to use when trying to convert a FSBO to a listing. All right, so let's talk about the characteristics of home buyers. Now, guys, this is where we get into the gold. This is where we get into the mindset of buyers. And the mindset in 2022, 2023 is going to be very similar. So pay attention to these statistics. By the way, I'm going to put a link below in the comments so you can download the actual report from the National Association of Realtors, and you can read all this on your own. First-time home buyers made up 26%, which was down from 34%. This is the lowest share of first-time buyers since data collection began. The typical first-time buyer was 36 years old, rising from 33 last year, while the typical repeat buyer climbed to 59 years old. These are both all-time highs. We did not see a lot of young first-time home buyers this past year. Being younger than 30 in my book is what I would call young. So 33, they're established, they've got a career going, they've got money for a down payment. It makes sense that they are home buyers. 61% of buyers were married, 17% were single females, 17%, 9% were single males, 10% were unmarried. That 9% of single males, I'm surprised it's not less. Single males don't care about buying a house. In general, they've got other things on their mind. But single females, 17%, I think that's a great stat. Among first-time home buyers, 18% of buyers were unmarried couples, 5% were other household compositions, 14% of home buyers purchased a multi-generational home, meaning that there were mom, dad, kids, grandkids to take care of aging parents because of children or relatives over the age of 18 moving back home. This kind of goes back to families cloistering together. In a lot of Asian countries, Japan, China, the family unit really stays together. When the parents age, the kids take care of them. They're raising their own children. We're seeing a lot of that. That's what they're talking about here when it talks about the multi-generational home. It is not unusual now to find a home that has grandma, grandpa, mom, dad, kids, even grandkids under there. Families are cloistering back together. They're coming back together, and I think that's a reflection of the world. I think it's a reflection of the COVID era. I also think it's a reflection of interest rates, the financials going on in the world. Young people cannot afford to buy, so they're staying home longer or they're moving back home while they save up. Grandpa, grandma, they're at the age now where they really don't need that home with that yard, so they're moving in. So I predict you're going to see a lot more multi-generational housing coming up in the future. 88% of buyers were white Caucasian, 8% were Hispanic Latino, 3% were Black African American, 2% were Asian Pacific Islander, 3% identified as other. The share of white Caucasian buyers and Hispanic Latino buyers grew, while the share of other racial and ethnic groups declined. I don't want to get into a big discussion there. That statistic is a little depressing to me. I would like to see everybody have equal opportunities to buy homes, but again, that's a discussion for another platform. 91% of recent home buyers identified as heterosexual, 2% as gay or lesbian, 2% as bi, and 5% preferred not to answer. 22% of recent home buyers were veterans, and 1% were active duty service members. No surprise there. If you're active duty, you're not going to put down roots because you're not going to be in one place very long. You don't know when they're going to ship you out, where you're going to go. 22% of recent home buyers being veterans. We actually see that a lot in my market because we have not only the active military base here, but we've got a lot of defense contractors. So a lot of these veterans relocate back here and put down roots because they have ready jobs waiting for them. At 22%, the primary reason for purchasing home was the desire to own a home of their own. For first-time buyers, this jumps to 62%. So interesting statistic there for first-time home buyers. 62% gave the reason for purchasing home was the desire to own their own home. You know, the younger generations, as they say, these are my quote marks, millennials, those kind of young folks, you don't see a lot of them overly interested in buying a home. I think it is just a difference in the way of thinking between generations. You know, my generation, my parents' generation, home ownership was the American dream. Not so much for these young folks. They have just different priorities. I know a lot of them, they don't want to put down roots. They want to have the ability to get up and go and do whatever they want. So no surprise there. Let's talk about the characteristics of the homes themselves. 12% of buyers purchased a new home. 88% purchased previously owned homes. That's not surprising given the typically the inventory of existing homes outweighs the number of new homes. In some markets, those margins are much thinner. 41% of buyers who purchased a new home were looking to avoid renovation and problems with plumbing and electricity. No surprise there. I tend to agree with them. I like a new house because it's new. It is not set there for years and taken on other people's problems or aged. 31% of buyers who purchased previously owned homes were most often considering a better price. Previously owned homes, existing homes are always priced cheaper than new construction. Just goes without saying. 79% of buyers chose detached single-family homes, followed by 8% who chose mobile or manufactured homes. I would assume that's 87%. So the 13% that's left over, probably they may have been doing house hacking, buying a duplex or an apartment, living in one, renting out the other, or something of that nature. Maybe they bought a houseboat. I'd like to have a houseboat. I don't know why. Senior-related housing held steady. This year it's 7% for buyers over the age of 60, with 17% of buyers typically purchasing condos and 8% purchasing a townhome or row house. Again, no surprise there. A lot of seniors do not want a yard. They don't want to have to deal with a headache. They are turning to condos and townhomes. I thought this one was interesting. The median distance between the home that recent buyers purchased and the home they moved from was 50 miles. This is a significant increase in distance moved. The distance between 18 and 21 was a median of 15 miles. This means that folks are moving further away from where they live. With me, you get to 50 miles. That's kind of a relocation scenario. This is my house, and we moved literally 5 miles away from here. So 50 miles, I think, is it's also indicative of what we've already talked about a little bit, is families cloistering together, moving out of the cities, moving into the rural areas. So 50 miles, I guess it's not really that surprising. For buyers, 49% cited quality of the neighborhood as the most important factor determining the location. Convenience to friends and family and overall affordability were both cited at 37%. This is giving you great insight, guys, into why they bought homes, where they bought homes, what was important to them. Now, remember, the whole point of this presentation is the more you know as a real estate professional, the better you can serve your client and the bigger your business will become. Let's see. Buyers typically purchase their homes for 100% of the asking price, with 28% purchasing more for more than asking price. That was our market here last year with a 20-year low in inventory, shortage of inventory, huge influx of buyers. We were seeing every house going for at least asking price and a lot going for above ask. The typical home that was purchased was 1,800 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, built around 1986. Typical starter home, 1,800 square feet. Overall, buyers expected to live in their homes for a median of 10 years, while 28% said they were never moving. That's what they say now, but then we just also went over the stat that they'd lived there about 10 years. So always, you never know. Life gets in the way, things happen, but on average, homeowners are staying in their homes 10 to 15 years, some less. All right, let's talk a little bit about how they find the home search process. And if you are a realtor worth your salt, you ought to know all of this already. If there are any surprises here, you need to go back to school. 47% of recent buyers, the first step they took in the home buying process was to look online for properties for sale, while 18% of buyers first contacted a real estate agent. Again, no surprise there. Most buyers start their home buying process on Zillow, Redfin, Truly, or one of those websites, maybe your local MLS. We love it when folks come to our website to start their home search. They can look at all of the inventory in the market. Another thing to remember is this. Buyers search on Google. Google is the number one search engine. Guess what number 2 is, guys? YouTube. YouTube is the second most used search engine now. And that is why we, at my company, we do so many videos. We do so many relocation videos because I know that's where folks are going to start looking. Buyers typically search for 10 weeks, looked at a median of 5 homes, and viewed 4 homes only online. Nearly all buyers used online tools in the search process. That's not a surprise at all. When asked where their internet searches were conducted, 60% searched on their mobile, 34% used a computer. Again, people live and die on their cell phones now. So again, this is not a surprise. 91% of recent buyers were, listen to this, at least somewhat satisfied with their recent home buying process. 91% were at least somewhat satisfied. That means they really weren't that satisfied with the home buying process. Well, you as an agent, as a professional, you can do things to alleviate that stress and make that somewhat satisfied completely satisfied. All right. You can help. You can send them listings. You can listen to what they want. You can go find it for them, bring it back. If you rely on clients just to send you houses, you're going to miss out on a lot of houses and a lot of opportunities. All right. Here is the part of the presentation that I want you to pay particular attention to, because this talks about working with an agent. And these are statistics from actual buyers and sellers. All right. I'm not making this up. 86% of buyers recently purchased their home through a real estate agent or a broker. Go us. 10% purchased directly from a FSBO previous owner. Having an agent to help them find the right home was what 49% of buyers wanted most when choosing an agent. Let's say that again. Having an agent help them find the right home was the motivating factor for 49% of buyers who chose an agent. You got to be helpful. Make yourself invaluable to the client. All right. 38% of home buyers used an agent that was referred to them by a friend, neighbor, or relative. 89% of buyers would use their agent again or recommended their agent to others, but only 12% actually do. Think about this. 89% of buyers said that they would use their agent again or recommend them to others, but only 12% used an agent that they had worked with previously. This is a statistic that I talk about a lot. And here's my opinion on why 89% of buyers or clients say, oh yeah, I'll refer business to you, but only 12% do, or 12% call you back. Time makes them forget all about you. You can be the greatest real estate agent in the world. You could have found them the perfect house. You could have negotiated a killer price. You could have put down the down payment for them. When they get ready to sell in about 8 to 10 years, you think they're going to remember your name? No, they are going to call whoever is in front of them at the time. Clients have a very short memory. Now, what can you do to alleviate that issue? Well, you stay in touch with your clients. You get birthdays, you get anniversaries, you send cards on all of those special occasions. You send cards at Christmas. Once a year, you might send them a fruit basket. You do anything you have to do to stay on their radar. Because if you don't, you are going to quickly drop off of their radar, and whoever's in front of them on social media at the time, or whoever's sitting next to them at church with a real estate license, that's who they're going to use. All right? 10% found their agent when inquiring about a specific property found online. 67% of buyers interviewed only one real estate agent during their home search. So what that tells me is 67% of agents who were first in the door are the ones that got hired. All right. And I would venture to say out of the 33% who interviewed more than one agent, they probably didn't interview more than 2 or 3. People will do business with whoever they like. Keep that in mind when you are going out on listing appointments. If you are nice, knowledgeable, friendly, you make them laugh, people want to do business with people they like, know, and trust. Okay? If you are not likable, if you go to a listing appointment and it just doesn't click, you are not going to get that listing. I don't care if you've got buyers sitting in the car. You're just not. Financing the purchase. 78% of recent buyers finance their home. That's down from 87% in 21. Basically, if they didn't finance the home, 22% I would assume would pay cash or did something other than finance, borrow from friends and family maybe. The typical down payment for first-time buyers was 6%, while the typical down payment for repeat buyers was 17%. Talked about this a little bit earlier. 20% down is the minimum if you are going to avoid PMI, private mortgage insurance. PMI can add $100, $150, $200 a month to your mortgage. So it's very important that you try to put that down, but obviously a lot of people can't. That's a lot of money to save up. I mean, think about this. If you are buying a $300,000 house and you want to put down 20%, gosh, that's what, $60,000? That's a big down payment. 3% is a lot easier to do, right? So I understand that. I don't mean to be cavalier about that, but again, you want to put down as much as you can, but if you're not putting down the full 20%, you're going to have PMI. Now, what you can do is once you do pay your mortgage down to the point where you've got 20% in equity, you can go to your mortgage lender and you can request that they remove that PMI and reduce your monthly payment. For 47% of buyers, the source of the down payment came from their savings. 38% of repeat buyers cited using the proceeds from the sale of a primary residence, while 22% of first-time home buyers used a gift or loan from family or friends for the down payment. If mom and dad can help you out, by all means, ask them to do so. Doesn't mean they're going to do it, but you can ask them to do so. First-time home buyers, 26% said saving up for a down payment was the most difficult step in the process. As I said, even if you're saving 3% down, if you get a $300,000 home, 3% is $9,000. You're going to have another $6,000 to $9,000 in closing costs. So you're going to save up about $18,000 to buy a $300,000 home. So, if you are like most Americans, you are living beyond your means, you've got credit card debt out the wahoo, you are driving a car that you cannot afford, it's hard to save for a down payment when you are mismanaging your money like that. Call Dave Ramsey. Let's see. The majority of first-time buyers did make financial sacrifices to purchase a home. Good for them. For those who did, the most common sacrifices buyers reported were cutting spending on luxury goods, entertainment, and clothes. Guys, if you are saving up for a down payment on a home, and it is a priority, give up the nice purses and the nice shoes and the nice cars and going out every Friday night. Put that money toward a home. Invest it in something that's going to give you a return. 88% reported they view a home purchase as a good investment. You're going to be hard-pressed to find something that will appreciate at the level of the average home. All right, so now let's talk about the experience of home sellers. These are your listing clients, guys. The typical home seller was 60 years old, an increase from 56 years old last year. For all sellers, the most commonly cited reason for selling was the desire to move closer to family and friends, 21%, moving due to retirement, 11%, or the neighborhood has gone to pot. It's just less desirable. But again, you can see the majority of those were all about moving closer to friends and family. Sellers typically lived in their home for 10 years before selling. This is an increase from 8 years in 2021's report. 41% of sellers traded up to a larger home. 32% purchased the same size home. We've already covered that. 86% of home sellers worked with a real estate agent to sell their home. 10% sold via FSBO, and less than 1% sold to an iBuyer. Okay. For recently sold homes, the final sales price was a median 100% of the listing price, highest recorded since 2002. Now, again, in our market here, last year, I would venture to say that 99.999% of homes sold for at least asking. A lot of homes sold for exponentially more. Recently sold homes were on the market for a median of 2 weeks, an increase from 1 week last year. Our days on market here, guys, last year, you might get a day. You might get 2 days if you were lucky. Only 20% of sellers offered incentives to attract buyers, a drop from 26% of last year. Let's talk a little bit really quickly about the incentives in this time frame, 2023. You know, in our market, North Alabama, we are still at a 20-year low of inventory. We have way more buyers than we have houses. Still a seller's market. Okay, sellers are still very much in the driver's seat. However, we have seen a leveling out of prices. We are not seeing the bidding wars. We are actually seeing some sellers willing to offer incentives. Now, a lot of that has to do with the financing and the interest rate. And, you know, they'll offer to buy down some points, that sort of thing. But yeah, it's still a seller's market here, but incentives are back. 91% of sellers were at least somewhat satisfied with the selling process. 91%. Yeah, I'm pretty satisfied. You know, if you got at least 100% of the final listing price, you ought to be damn satisfied. All right, working with a listing agent. You listing agents, listen up, because you are about to learn some things that can help you in the future. 63% of sellers found their agent through a referral from a friend, neighbor, or relative, or used an agent they had worked with before to buy or sell a home. This is why it's so important for you to build your sphere and to build a referral network. Okay? Do not be a secret agent. You have to tell everybody that you meet that you are a real estate agent and you're ready to go to work for them. Okay? Work social media like crazy, guys. There's no easier way to create a circle of friends than on social media. 80% of recent sellers contacted only one agent before finding the right agent they worked with to sell their home. Again, people, they want to work with those they like, know, and trust. They've got to trust your expertise, your reputation, your knowledge, and they got to like you, or they're not going to do business with you. All right, 39% of sellers use the same agent to purchase a home as well as sell their home. That's a double dip. We like the double dip. A share which rises to 85% for sellers. That means that the agent walked in, got the listing, and then was hired to be the buyer's agent to find the next home. I love those double dips, but you got to be careful with the dual agency. 86% of sellers listed their homes on the MLS through an agent, which is the number one source for sellers to list their home. 74% of sellers reported that they provided the agent's compensation. Now, I found that statistic interesting. 74% of sellers reported that they paid the commission. Well, where'd the other 26% come from? Well, it could have been that the buyers kicked in for the commission. It could have been maybe it's paid by a relocation company. You know, there's the lawsuit going on now over sellers paying buyers agency fees. And I think we're going to see a shift in the coming years in the way things are done. I don't think it's going to be a drastic shift, because buyers still must have fair representation, and agents are not going to do that for free. But I found that statistic of 74% of sellers paying the agent's commission really interesting. The typical seller had recommended their agents once in selling their home. 27% of sellers recommended their agent 4 or more times. Those agents must be doing something right. They are staying on the radar of their former clients, and that's why they're getting referred. Again, if you get nothing out of this presentation except this is gold. Stay in touch with your clients. Remember them at holidays. Send them cards. Send them gifts. Send them whatever you have to do to stay on their radar so they will refer you and not forget you. Okay? 85% said they would definitely or probably recommend their agent for future services. Now, again, remember, 89% say they would use the same agent again, but only 12% do. That should be a lesson to you. I found this chart interesting. This is actually from the Generational Trends presentation. We're going to do a video on that as well. The most important factors when choosing an agent. The top bar there are the age ranges. Agent is honest and trustworthy is the number one reason an agent was chosen. Agent's experience, number 2. The reputation of the agent. Agent is a friend or family member. Agent's knowledge of the neighborhood. Agent has caring personality, is a good listener. Agent is timely with responses. Nothing drives me crazier than a real estate agent who does not respond quickly. If I send you a text me back. If I call you, call me back. But they do that to their clients as well. Here's one that I thought was really interesting. Agents association with a particular firm, 1% of buyers gave a damn. I find that interesting because a lot of the larger brokerages, one of the things that they say to get agents on board is, well, you got our big brand behind you. You've got, our colors, our this, our that. Guys, I hate to break this to you. Even my own agents, clients don't give a damn which real estate office you are with. They don't care. They don't give a damn about your logo. It's all about honesty, integrity, personality. Do you click with them on a custom or on an emotional level? Can they trust you? What is your reputation? All of that is what matters. It doesn't matter what logo you have on your jacket, okay? All right, so for sale by owners, I found this interesting because my first few years in business, I sold a lot of FSBOs. 10% of recent home sales were FSBO sales in 22. This is up from 7%. 50% of FSBO sellers knew the buyer of the home. Remember that point. Within rural areas, 13% sold via FSBO compared to 6% of sellers in the suburbs. And here's an important fact. FSBOs typically sell for less than the selling price of other homes. FSBO homes sold at a median of $320 or $225, significantly lower than the median listed home of $345. Here is your ammunition. Here is everything you need to transform a FSBO into a listing. 50% of FSBOs knew the buyer of the home. They sell to a friend, family members, what have you. What happens when you sell to friends and family? They want a lower price. Hey, Earl, give me a deal. We've been bowling together for 26 years. Give me a deal. Okay? So they're selling to people they know, and they're cutting their price, leaving money on the table. FSBO homes sold at a median of $225,000 opposed to $345,000. That is a $120,000 difference. Okay? So remember this. For sale by owners, their primary reason for selling their home on their own is they do not want to pay your commissions. They don't want to pay my commissions. Well, you can tell them now, Mr. Homeowner, I understand completely your thought process, but did you know that 50% of folks who sell on their own typically sell to a family member and typically do so for, on average, $120,000 less than they would have made than if I had listed their home? Guys, if that's not ammunition to get them to turn the page and sign the contract, you don't know what you're doing. Okay. So keep that in mind. I mean, just the fact that FSBOs on average sell for less than everyone else, $120,000 difference. That is huge. So, all right, guys, so let's summarize what we've talked about here. And here is the bottom line and why I am doing this for you. The more you know about your buyers and your sellers, the more effective you will be in serving them. All right? You're getting inside their heads. What motivates them positively or negatively? What do they really want most, and what do they not want at all? What's most and least important to them? How do they start and conduct their home search? How are they going about finding a search or finding a home and find you as a result? Why are they looking to buy or sell? Why and how did they choose a realtor? What are the odds they're going to call you again? You know, at my company, we've got a buyer and seller questionnaire that asks a lot of these questions because we know that it is important that we understand the motivation of the client, because the motivation drives everything else, right? So I think this report is invaluable. I think you should download it, read it from cover to cover. It's not that long. It's a very quick read, but it will give you amazing insight into the minds of buyers and sellers, okay? A wise man once said, make yourself invaluable to your client and they will be your client for life. Who was that wise man? It was me, because I needed a quote to end the presentation. But seriously, make yourself invaluable. Go above and beyond. Okay, I'm giving you the key here to their thought processes. This should also help you adjust your approach and your style and your tactics to help them get the job done, to help them buy or sell and get a great deal and be happy with you and refer you lots of customers. Make yourself invaluable to the client and they will be your client for life. So, all right, guys, I hope this was helpful. Again, I'm going to put a PDF probably in the comments below that you can download. I encourage you to download it, read it, absorb it. I'm also going to do a video on just a portion of the NAR generational trends document that has been released, talking primarily about you, the realtor, and things you can do to up your odds of building just a killer business. So, all right, guys, I hope that was helpful. Hey, if I can do anything for you, you know where I am. My contact information is below. It doesn't matter whether you are on my company roster or you are with anyone else. I consider myself a broker at large. I am more than happy to answer questions and take your comments on things like this. So that's it, guys. I hope it was helpful. Get out there and make it a great day. I'll talk to you soon.